Hello and welcome to the Freedom Seeker Show, the talk show where women share their experiences in an unfiltered way. I am talking today with Lyndsie Barrie, money success consultant and author, host of Ask Lyndsie Show for teens, international speaker, and just hugely passionate about helping moms improve their money management skills. In this episode, we will break down Lyndsie's strategic process of getting her done using her dream to write the Money for the 39 Forever Mom book in just 9 months as an example. Here we go. All right. Hello and welcome to the Freedom Seeker Show, the talk show where we share our experiences as women in an unfiltered way and therefore really empower other women to do the same. Mm-hmm. And today I have with me Lyndsie Barrie.
I'm so excited.
And so am I. So I have been on Lyndsie's show a few times now, but I have never had Lyndsie on my show. So I am super thrilled this finally came together and finally happened for us. But let me introduce you to Lyndsie. Lyndsie is a money success consultant, an author. She's a mom. She is the host of the Ask Lyndsie Show, which is a talk show for teens. And you are also an international speaker. You are, I think my favorite part about you is just how incredibly passionate you are about helping moms or women and teens understand how money works and understand how they can live a life of abundance and freedom and not fall into the traps that so many of us fall into. And so she wrote a book, Lyndsie wrote a book called Money and the 39 Forever Mom, and that is what I wanted to kind of dive a little bit into with you today, because I feel that one of my favorite things about you, Lyndsie, is how you just get her done. Like you just set a goal and then you go for it and you get it done. You know, there are lots of people I come across, myself included, I guess. We have all these ideas and all these dreams and we want to do. And we keep putting it off. We always find excuses, always find a reason or another that stands in the way. So, not Lyndsie. I think you wrote your book in, 12 months?
It was 9 months from start to finish, yeah.
So let's back it up for a moment. And let's just tell the Freedom Seekers here, what inspired you to become a money coach or a money consultant, and then leading down the trickle of writing a book about it?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you so much for having me on the show. You have such a unique niche group of followers, people who love, the messages that you're sharing with them. And that's why I'm so excited, because I already know that the message I'm going to share is going to resonate with most of them, because if you love Yvonne, then you're my kind of person. So, but definitely kind of a interesting story, I guess, as to how I went from being super confused about money, a single mom, a hairdresser, to making a living in the world of finance. It was literally just walking through doors that opened for me. The first big step that I had to take, sort of jump, like just that leap of faith type of a thing that I tend to do a lot, was moving from Grand Prairie, Alberta to Cochrane. And it wasn't long after I was in Cochrane, only a few months, that I met a woman who was involved with a multi-level marketing financial company. I won't mention the name of that company, but thanks to her and that company, I at least started down the path towards the career I'm in today. Right. And I got my life insurance license. I started to learn about investments and life insurance and, financial products, but also the planning side of it, the tax side of money. I started to get answers to the questions I had always been so stumped with and so frustrated with.
With regards to money.
With regards to money, and always being like, why didn't they teach this stuff in school? I mean, I just couldn't even believe that there was this whole world of education out there that's necessary to achieving your goals that we're not taught in school. And I know the curriculum has gotten better, but it's still not where it needs to be. And that's why the Ask Lyndsie Show for teens and things like that I've worked on. But so after I got my life insurance license, I never signed on to work with that company. And I met a different woman at my son's preschool picnic. And she was like, oh, well, there's an open office with this large international investment firm that my husband works for, there's an office in Cochrane. Why don't you go talk to him and maybe you can, get set up there. So then they were like, you need to take the Canadian Securities course. You need to take our training. We need to put you through this like 5-level interview process. And, self-employed hairdresser, like not much of a resume really. Self-employed since the age of 21. I managed to land that job, and yeah, it's pretty sweet.
See, this is the thing, let's just talk to that for a moment, because you are an incredibly resourceful woman. You don't, and I think this is one of the things I admire so much, because I am a person who, how did you put that the other day? Like I need to have certain things always in place, and they can't just be anything. They have to be like the perfect things. Whereas you're like, no, I'll just, pull out this dress, do my hair up, and I look show ready, Whereas I would spend an hour getting ready for something like that. So this is just a simple example, but it speaks very well to your resourcefulness in terms of how you make stuff happen and how you just make it work, and you don't put a lot of pressure on yourself, to be perfect, or to, like in Mel Robbins' book, 5-second rule, she would probably refer to that as like that 5-second rule. You've got that, like you just go and do it, and you don't give your brain the opportunity to talk you out of it, right? Or to scare you out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that I have my mom and my dad to thank for that. Like, music was my big thing when I was a kid, was music, was singing and playing the piano. And I think I built a lot of confidence as a young child, hearing them tell me that I'm great and that I'm doing things other kids aren't, and cheering me on at my horribly painful piano recitals. Like, those kind of things I think have helped me. So when I'm working with, moms who don't have that confidence that wasn't instilled in them at a young age, it can be more difficult to really help them get to that point of trust the education. Like, you went through this process with me where, you're learning about things. Trust that now. And they have a hard time trusting themselves, and especially with business women, they have a hard time trusting themselves. I never really have. I tend to see, I'm like the extreme opposite of that. I'm often asking for forgiveness because I'm like, ooh, I thought that was right and it wasn't. Sorry. Like, that's kind of more how I am.
So you have been doing the financial coaching or mentoring for how long now?
Since 2010.
So then, so 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't say I was really doing that in the beginning. That was when I started in the finance industry, and it wasn't until I got fired from that job for not selling enough investments in life insurance, because it wasn't a financial advising job, even though that was my title. It was a financial salesperson selling job. And which I wasn't great at selling products. I was really great at having people want to meet with me and learn from me, but I wasn't allowed to charge a fee for that.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so February 2014 was when I started my own business doing what I'm doing now.
4 years old, so you got through the first 3 crumbling years. Mm-hmm. What, would you say there was somewhat of a defining moment in your life where you said, like, this is like you talk about moving from Grand Prairie to Alberta to Alberta. Grand Prairie is in Alberta. From Grand Prairie to Calgary. Mm-hmm. But when you were in Calgary, were you still doing hairdressing, or did you already?
I've never stopped. I still do a bit of hair, but I had to keep it on the down low when I was working with that large international investment firm. I wasn't allowed to actually do anything else, at least not publicly. When you work in the investment, even in the life insurance industry, I mean, I have to disclose year after year that I do a little bit of hairdressing. Yeah. They need to know that. Yeah. It's their business, apparently. But anyways, because there is a lot to know about life insurance and investments, and helping clients with their unique financial situations, and those regulatory bodies want to know that our key focus is on that. And of course it is. I mean, I do hair probably 3 to 6 hours a week or something like that, and it's really just something I love to do that I also happen to make a little bit of money at. But one of my lovely creations right here.
Well, not only that, but one of the things we've talked about, if I may just kind of divert into that for a moment, is what do you talk to, like when you and I sit down and you do my hair, we literally solve world problems.
Oh my gosh,
like we have such intense conversations, but that's just the nature of who we are. and how our friendship works, right? So we've talked about this, how, being able to have, do their hair is a very cool way to have also very educational and engaging conversation with the moms that Lyndsie has chosen to work with. So that is who your primary audience is moms and teens, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so why moms and teens?
Well, and I'm going to talk about this later on because I know some of the questions she's going to ask me, and I don't want to spoil my big answer, but one of the things is literally just scratching my own itch, like seeing a need that I had as a young mom, being confused about money, and also wanting my son not to be confused about money. So it's like, this is not a problem with just me. I'm meeting more women, moms like this all over the place. Yeah. There's a gap in the education system.
Huge.
Moms are stressed out enough as it is, but when you add money stress to that pile, it all of a sudden can become the tipping point to mental illness and extreme issues, medical issues. And so it was just like one of those things where I was like, I feel like I'm being pulled in this direction. I had a business coach that helped me really clarify that need that's in the world that I could help fill. And so, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So I really would love, we could talk hours about...
We do.
And we do.
We tend to.
But for today's purpose, what I really love to talk to you about is using your book as an example of just how your strategic process works. Because that is one, I was lucky enough to be part of your life when you decided to write the book, and then I observed her from the beginning to the publication, and I remember how amazed I was in the amount of time that you got it done, and that you not just written and then sent to a publisher, but you wrote it, you edited, you got it edited, you got it published. And I came to your book party, to your release party,
which was
9 months later,
in my life.
Right? So incredible. So can you share with us a little bit, just on the process of what happened? Why did you decide to write a book?
Yeah. So I decided to write a book because I saw a need. I knew that I couldn't completely fill the need at the moment that I decided to write a book, but I knew that committing to the cause and committing to writing a book would, force me to do more research and to get more answers than I already had. I actually just committed to do that this morning with my Moms in Business Tribe. I said, I'm going to host an event where I have to come there with 6 months of my social media and marketing content planned out, because that's what I'm coming there to help other people do. That's kind of how I do things.
So this is a strategy of yours.
It's just how I work.
A goal, and then the closer the goal is to you right now.
I'm I got to do that. Yeah. Because I know I can do it. I have no idea how I'll do it. But it's it doesn't matter what your business is. There are always things you don't know. And so you can commit to sharing what you know with everyone in a book, but you know that along the way you're going to pick up more information and fill more gaps, and that book is going to be better than you ever thought it would be. I mean, if you don't know that, know that. Now you know that. That's what'll happen. If you commit to writing a book with the knowledge in your head right now, the finished book will have double that knowledge, because you will, as you're writing it, be like, ooh, there's a little gap here. I want to give more meat on this topic. And so you'll go out and do some research. And because it's your business, your passion, your life, you'll love it. You'll love it. You'll say no to going out drinking with your friends. You'll take your laptop camping. You'll do what it takes to get it done because you're fired up about it. Yeah. And I'm not saying you're always fired up about it. There are times when you're like,
yeah, I'm sure in the 9 months there were moments for you where you probably needed a little extra motivation. So what did you do when you needed extra motivation?
Took a quick nap. I find if I don't feel motivated, it's usually because I'm not eating properly. I need to have a quick nap, or I need to go for a walk without my phone, which sometimes was tricky because I'd have my best ideas when I was walking the dogs in the bush. Yeah. And I'd be like trying to scratch it out on a stick with another stick or something. I didn't want to forget, literally I was like,
and you know what? This isn't even an exaggeration. I can totally see you do that. But I remember going on hikes with you. Yeah, your phone was actually your voice memo tool. You did a lot of, as we were talking and as you had ideas, you would quickly pull out your phone and make a voice memo for yourself. So I can see that being tricky. But you're right. there's a lot to be said about self-care, and that's often why, why we're sluggish or you're not, we're procrastinating on things.
Yes, because we're on the right path. We've chosen our business. We've chosen, that thing that we want to do. We know we can make a huge difference in the world with it. When we're having days or moments where we're not loving it, it's usually not because we're doing the wrong thing. It's the self-care that's lacking.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Very, very well said. So, all right. So you made a goal, and you made that goal visually, like you wrote it on a personal board, like a
flip chart.
Right?
Oh yeah. So at home, I put it on my own goal board. My son came home. It was actually within days of being forced, without warning, to announce it to a group of aspiring authors. My business coach had held an event. And at that event was like, hey, when's your book going to be published? And when's your book going to be published? And I was like, July 31st. It didn't actually end up happening until September.
Yeah.
The book launch party, I actually I'm coming up on the 2-year anniversary, and I'm going to do a big giveaway of some sort. I'm not sure yet. I'm probably going to give 50 copies of my book away to about 50 different moms or something. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. But it was September when the books were actually, done. And then it was October when I had my book launch party at Indigo Signal Hill. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. But you wrote it on visually on a board, and that was your visual reminder every day that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I thought there was so much power in announcing it to that room full of people. Yeah. I mean, they were kind of strangers to me.
Yeah.
Actually, Calvin was in that room. You know Calvin. He ended up being someone that I stayed in touch with, but none of the other people in that room I even would.
No. But it was an accountability group for you at the time.
But what I did with that picture that I took with my business coach, with the flip chart that he wrote it on, Lyndsie's book will be published, I posted that on LinkedIn. I posted that on Facebook. I didn't even have Instagram at the time. So then I went public with it later that day. That was big, and that sat kind of heavy on me, but not as heavy as a few days later when my son walked in after school, and during that day I went to town on my goal board, and it was like, book published by July 31st, and he walks in and he's like, you're writing a book? And I was like, how did you miss that? I've been talking about that for a while, but anyways, typical 9-year-old boy. He was like a book 300 pages? And I was like, He was like, wow. And then I was like, ooh, this big weight hit me, and I was like, I gotta do this, my kid's watching me, and I can't look like a failure to him, that's just not going to happen. So then I got really serious about it.
Right. So you had the external accountability piece. Yeah. And I heard you also say, and I just want to reiterate it, because I think this was a pretty big piece for you. You hired a business coach to help you write.
Wouldn't have done any of that without a business coach.
Yeah.
Because it's the internal accountability is the money you invest in the coaching. That doesn't have anything to do with anyone but you.
No.
Right? And the business coach is 20% of the success. 80% of the success of hiring the business coach is the money you've worked over. That's my experience with it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You've done the same thing, so.
Yeah, 100%. But I just felt I needed to reiterate it to everyone watching, because, we can do anything, but we can't do everything, and we most certainly can't do it all alone. We always have days where we may need someone to bounce ideas off of. We always have days where we may need some motivation, where sleep and nutrition may not be enough, and you are an incredibly self-motivated person to begin with. So, for someone like me who constantly needs this one to call me and say, let's go and do this, or let's go and do that, right? It is even more critical that I have someone to constantly be on my butt about certain things. So
I love being people's, what's the word for that? I don't know. It's a negative word, but I still kind of like it. It's like a motivator, but more like a drill sergeant.
Yeah,
that's me.
You most certainly can be a drill sergeant. There is that.
And then there are times when people you and are like, and stop.
And
enough.
Enough.
Go away. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but again, one of the great things about you is that you take it for what it is. There's not a lot of fluff there in terms of needing to, sugarcoat things. So.
No, I mean, and I also don't take offense when people have had enough of me and they're like, "Hey, got my dose of Lyndsie for the day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye."
So I'm just glancing at my questions because you said you carefully prepared answers. So what would you say another another part of your process and step was. So you set your goals and you wrote them down and you made them public. And what happened after that?
After that, it was time blocking. It was making sure that I had the time in my calendar and I guarded it with fierceness. We were talking about this exact same thing in the Moms in Business Tribe this morning, because a lot of these moms are having a really hard time with putting their business before their kids. Yeah. Or even before family or friends, or their husbands are like, hey, honey, could you go out and grab some groceries, when they're sitting at their computer trying to work on their business? And they'll be like, yeah. And now they're starting to be like, no, business time. See this? This is, I'm working. And they get a little open close sign on the office door, like something, right? Yeah. So I had to do that. And I had to, I was dating a guy at the time where I had to just constantly be like, look, dude, yeah, I'll come camping, but I have my laptop and like, go shoot gophers for a couple hours or something, because I am working right now.
Right. So when you time block, you set like an hour or 2 hours of writing.
Usually
time,
2 to 3, or actually 2 to 4, I guess would be better. I find after, but if it's a 4-hour time block, at 2-hour mark, I start to get a little fidgety. And I need to just stand up, move around a little bit, maybe re-engage with the world on my phone, and then turn it back into airplane mode or something. Yeah. Airplane mode is really nice when you're in those zones, but at the same time, if you're a mom, it's hard to shut the world off. You just morally can't do that sometimes. But, you know, for example, if Jake's like watching Netflix, I love airplane moding my phone because I don't.
Yeah, he's next door to you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I love that. So I'm actually really productive when he's around, because I can put my phone in airplane mode. When he's, you know, at his dad's or he's out playing with a friend, I like can't put my phone in airplane mode, and that always messes with me a little bit because there's constant distractions, and I have to keep checking. I have no notifications on my phone. Right. The only thing that I hear is if it rings.
No notifications ever?
No.
That's
no text, no nothing. The only noise you ever hear from my phone is a ring. So I don't know if a text comes in, which might be bad because I'm like looking at it every once in a while to be like, is he okay?
You might actually want to. Put a special ringtone on just Jake's stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that way you only get notified when Jake.
He doesn't have a phone though, so he could be calling from anyone's phone.
Yeah.
I'm one of those hard ass moms who's like, you don't need a phone. He'll be 14 and I'll still be like, nobody has phones at 14. What are you talking about? I feel like I'm the only one that doesn't.
Yeah, he would be. He's here today too.
He's downstairs. He'll probably come up here and.
Yeah.
Sure.
So let's keep going then. Let's talk about what else. So you time blocked. You set goals. You time blocked.
Time blocking is huge, and I'm not a perfectionist, so when I would time block, it would be like, about this time till about this time. Sometimes urgent client stuff came in, and I had to pause and deal with client stuff, and but what were you saying?
Because you were still working as a financial consultant.
Oh yeah, right? I mean I have clients, and they come first, honestly. But one thing I learned, and I mean the book that saved my life and probably comes in number 2 below my business coach, and or maybe ties with you for number 2, is the Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Work book. That book has so much great meat in it. I still haven't read it cover to cover, but little things like only checking your email at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock daily. Yeah. Huge. Yeah. Because clients' stuff can wait 4 hours. Yeah. Or it can wait from 2 o'clock, like after 2 o'clock if they email, it can wait till 10 o'clock the next morning.
Well, you're managing expectations too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. My voicemail. Mm-hmm. If it's urgent, leave a message. If it's not urgent, text me, email me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people leaving me voicemails. What a time suck that is. Yeah. So little things to do with time management that I picked up on and started doing because writing was a priority and I needed to diminish all the time sucks over here so that I could put that time into writing, that I started doing, and it was working. And
which is great. And now you have adopted them.
Oh yeah.
Even now. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I go for a couple of days though checking my email now, but yeah. But it's summer right now. I mean, my clients often don't need anything urgent.
It depends. And you also have an assistant who's kind of keeping an eye on things for you too. So, all right, let's move along. What was one of the other steps or tips that you have for us that really made a difference in getting this book done in the 9 months?
Is not writing the book for 100,000 people. Writing the book for a niche group of people and like scratching my own itch, right? I learned that term from Tim Ferriss. Writing. So you used to do your webinars and you had a picture of me where you're like, I'm talking to Lyndsie. We're just having a conversation. That's what you do when you write a book.
Yeah.
You're writing that book for a specific person, whether it's someone you know who's very much like you. They have to be, because if you don't know them, you can't help them. That's why I work with moms, because I get their stuff, right? Yeah. Their frustrations. So don't try to be everything to everyone. Just write a book for a group of people that you know is out there and is very much like you. And don't let yourself rabbit trail with this writing and be like, oh, a couple people might want to know this. Screw that couple people. Write for your little group of people.
Yeah. And I would imagine that, you can always write another book, or you can always do another edition of this book. And if there's really something that you missed the first, because I'm sure there is going to be stuff you miss or wish you had done differently.
Well, this is the revised edition of the book. Yeah. I have already revised this book. Yeah. Not even 2 years later, I revised the book, and I suspect I will revise it in 2 more years. Because a book on money, things change. Yeah. I'm learning more and more every day. Yeah. I mean, the book has to keep evolving, but I'm deciding whether or not to next time to revise it or to write another book kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So just start and just work, but have a person or an ideal client or a ideal audience in mind when you're working on this, so that you don't get too sidetracked on trying to please everyone, because that's not going to happen.
You want that person to be reading your book being like, oh my God, this was written for me.
That's right.
I can't put this down. And I have 2 other friends out of my 400 friends who are like me. They need this book. You want that feeling.
Mentality. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful. So what else?
What else would be, sorry, what was the question again?
What part of your process? So you wrote to one, you set the goal, made it public, you time blocked.
Yeah.
You had a person in mind who you were writing to. Mm-hmm. That person was you, which, by the way, spoiler alert, your ideal client is always a version of you. So, any other tips or things that you can share with us that you've learned from writing this book, let's start with something that you would always do over and over again. It was the best advice ever. And then maybe one of oh God, I will never do that again.
Best advice ever is to tell yourself every day that you have a moral obligation to share what you know with the world.
Beautiful.
Plain and simple. When you are feeling like a lazy ass, you're like, no. There's some woman sitting in her apartment crying her eyes out because she can't pay her bills and she is an idiot with her money and she just needs a little help. I have to get that help to her.
Yeah. Which is another thing. Can we talk about this for just a second? I know one of the reasons you wrote this book, let's talk about audience again, right? Like you said, you didn't write it for the purpose of distributing it with millions of people in mind.
No.
One of the reasons for that was because you wanted to really narrow down your audience. But the other reason why you didn't set that out to be your main goal was because you really wanted to have this book assist you in your work with moms, correct?
Yeah, I wanted it to be sort of the workbook. It's like every time I work with a new client now, they have to sign on to my consultation package, which is literally financial training for 4 to 6 weeks, whatever they need. But it's the manual now. Yeah. It's the source of every article you see that I publish a new article. It's a chunk of that book that I've maybe brushed up a little bit. It's the meat, and I just kind of repackage it and repurpose it.
Is this one of those sweet bonuses that you didn't expect to come out of writing a book?
Yeah, it is. And it's one of the things that I was doing so wrong for a little while, where I had already written the book and then I kept writing new articles, because that's how I wrote my book, by the way. The best way to write a book is to start blogging. I just did it on LinkedIn. Yeah. I didn't even have a website for the first little while. Yeah. I just used LinkedIn article, and LinkedIn was amazing for me. So many stories I could tell you about that. But I just wrote article after article, published them on LinkedIn, and then when it came time to actually put the book together, I was just grabbing writing that I'd already done and organizing it, and then adding on to some of it and things like that. And now whenever I launch a new online course or a new live course or whatever. It's out of that book.
So one of the things that I'm curious about, because I've noticed that, like, I haven't written a book, but I created the program.
You have, though. You just haven't put it into a book yet.
Exactly. So it's in form of a program right now. And one of the things I've noticed, even with interviews and such, it's like we're very critical of ourselves, right? In terms of, and oftentimes we put so much of ourselves into these, whatever the genre, or the medium, I should say, that I find it hard to keep reading, looking back onto it, and trying to navigate that. So my question would be, how did you, write the book, and did you have an editor that helped you get through the writing piece, so you didn't have to go back? Because every time I go back on something, I will fix and fix and fix and fix.
Yeah, you eventually have to have someone like yank it out of your hands, change your Gmail password, slap it out of your hands, and be like, and you're done here, and it's going out.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I revised the book so quickly, because that did start to eat at me to the point where I was like, I really want to fix this book up. There's a lot of stuff in this book that, because I got it done really quickly, was great.
But this is separate from your coach, though, right? This is like a separate person.
My coach didn't help me at all. Like, I think, he might have edited a few of my articles.
Yeah, okay.
But no, I'm in a book club full of 12 amazing women. And one of them, Lori Lakeman, she really charged ahead. And when I put out an email to my book club ladies, because they're readers, like we're in a book club together, and they love reading and they love literature, and they're smart women and they love to read. And they were like my biggest fans aside from you when I was writing this book. So one of them, she was like, yeah, I'll edit your stuff. And my mom, like, she's not going to let me put some crap out to the world. And she's really picked up on it. So my writing got better literally from putting it out to people and being like, I'd put it out to like 15, 20 people and be like, here's my latest sort of chunk of my book. Yeah. Please read it and give me feedback within 48 hours. Maybe a few would each time, but that was all I needed. Right? So it was great. And then, so publishing a book, if you want to be a bestseller and you want to sell your book to hundreds of thousands of people, you probably need to go the expensive route and, find a publishing company that will actually take your book on. And there's a lot involved with that. There's a lot of paying people to get you to that point. I didn't do that. I self-published the book, which means found my own editors. That was the first step. So I did all the writing, found editors. Then I hired a formatter to take all of my stuff and make it look pretty on the page. The guy that I got to do it this time, amazing. The guy that I got to do it the first time, that was a bit of a headache. But it was my first time, so I didn't really know how painful it should be. Yeah. Shouldn't have been that painful. Anyways, and then it was a matter of, putting it on Amazon. And if you want to have your own, if you want to have your own copies, you can order your own copies from Amazon, or I hired a local company to print
I was just
some.
going to say, you had a local printer for yours.
Yeah, I did that just
so
for
I think a really
books.
Important piece to distinguish for our audience here is, though, that the reason why you wrote the book, right? So your purpose for it was always to be a companion for your business rather than to make you a ton of money from a publishing deal.
Oh, right? Yeah. I've never wanted to be a writer only or a speaker only. I love working one-on-one with moms, but the fact is that I can reach, 100 times, 1,000 times more moms by writing a book than I can by doing this with them over and over again. So that's not the last, but one of the last things that I want to talk to you about, because I think there are so many things, and you are always on to me about this, so many wonderful things that come out of writing a book. One of them, of course, content creation. So for all of you that are struggling with content, this would be the ultimate content piece for you, because like Lyndsie said, once you have the book, you can go back and you can pull pieces out, and you never need to be creative again.
Yeah, well,
I'm not kidding. Literally,
you definitely have a big meal here to constantly pick from, right? But it also got you an international speaking opportunities. It also got you workshop material, because you also do lots of workshop with moms. So speak to me about that. Was that a surprise that all of this came out, or did you actually know that it was going to happen?
I've never known anything I just keep like putting one foot in front of the other, you know, like, and feeling like I'm in the right place at the right time, and continually meeting more and more like-minded people who are like, hey, have you heard of this? Hey, why don't you try this? Or hey, you need to meet this person. And things just keep happening, and so it's cool. I mean, I'm just along for the ride, really. But you know, the one, you can't control the outcome. I heard this on Tim Ferriss' podcast this morning. You can't control the outcome. You can't even own the outcome. I can't own any of the things, the international speaker, the fact that I have a book. I can't own any of that. All I can own is the effort I put in.
Yeah.
And I just keep putting in effort, which is simply putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And when I'm stumped and I can't put a foot in front of the other, I now have such an amazing circle of women around me who are going to pick me up and be like, what?
Yeah.
No.
And you're also,
get moving.
And you're also really great at asking what you need. And that is something that is super valuable, because a lot of us struggle with that at times, right? We're not always really great at that. But just to speak to that again now, Tim Ferriss, I know he's a huge inspiration to you in everything that you've done.
Hi, Tim, if you're watching this, let's hang out.
If by chance you happen to watch my show.
Hey.
But yeah, she is the biggest fan, I think, that you have and will ever have. She never misses a show. And what reminded me of, though, is the pattern is the same with, say, Mel Robbins, like with her entire philosophy around the 5-second rule. Tim Ferriss is the same way. Brendon Burchard, like they're all resonating on that same method and message, really, and that is, you know, deliver value, but don't overthink it. Because as soon as we start overthinking it, we stop putting one foot in front of the other, and we stumble. Yeah. Because you know what, analogically speaking, is like, you know, walking a very narrow, you know, bridge or something. If you're just looking straight ahead, you have no problem getting across. But as soon as you look down, that's when you stumble, right? And that's the overthinking part. Like, just keep looking ahead. And I loved how you said that. Is you never knew what the outcome was going to be, but you just knew which direction you wanted to go, and you just looked straight ahead and you walked the line. Like you went for it. So that's really awesome. So we need to wrap it up, but give us like the one thing you will never do again.
I don't know. It's so hard. This is such a common question on all the podcasts I listen to. And it's like, every mistake I've made has resulted in something positive.
Right. But you're just trying to save me some time here. So that's why I want to know. Please shortcut this for me.
The one thing I will never do again, and I'm not doing it anymore, and I've stopped a long time ago, and a lot of you are probably still doing this, is launching an event or a program or a workshop or whatever. And the only thing you need to create the content for in advance is this baby right here. Everything else you pre-sell, and if you don't pre-sell, you don't create. You don't do any work until you know you have people interested in that event, in that workshop, in that whatever the hell it is. Like, you know, for example, I don't do any work with clients until they pay me, right? So I get a lot of tire kickers being like, I have this question, I have that question, I have this question. If you're not going to do my consultation process, A, you either don't trust me, you don't see value in that price tag that I've attached to my expertise, or B, you're not serious. Yeah. Either way, I'm not doing anything for you. Yeah. Because I also know the value in paying for things. I mean, I'm kind of going against that with my current giveaway, but I'm giving away a 6-week business renovation for a woman who has a business. I'm just going to work with her really closely for 6 weeks, help her in any way I can, create some of the checklists that I've created for myself that work for me, reiterate some of the stuff you've taught me, reiterate some of the stuff my other business coaches and mentors have taught me. I'm giving that away for free. Yeah. I'm hoping to have about 100 entries. Somebody's going to win it, but I'm already nervous. How is this person going to react to getting all of this value for free? Are they going to work their ass off when I give them a checklist? Probably not, but
I'm sorry.
I'm doing it anyway.
Spoiler alert again, but
I'll let you know how it goes, but I'm pretty sure we already know how it's going to go.
We already know what's going to happen. I completely agree. And we just actually, before we hit play, we talked about the economy of free and how it is non-existent anymore. But one of the number one reasons why it's non-existent anymore is because you do not value what you didn't. How did you internalize by the value you attributed to it, right? So if you don't see, if you haven't,
there's no internal accountability if
exactly.
you don't put money out.
And that's the biggest problem with the economy of free. So, when we were talking about it in terms of technology and how some of the softwares used to be free and how they're no longer free, it helps me because it helps me understand what I really need. It really helps me break down what is it that I need, and is this going to serve me, rather than just collecting a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I still have books on my iPad, those free downloads. I have never looked at them.
And we had this conversation
imagine how
not that
much
long
time
ago.
has gone into this person writing this book.
And I deleted that free ebook, which I wrote with you, which is a great free ebook, but it's now a paid thing on my website. One of my few my few paid ebooks on my website. And I've replaced it with a 50% off coupon.
Yeah.
You sign up for my email list, you're going to get a ton of value from the stuff I email you. And to thank you for signing up, you get 50% off anything you want, multiple things, all of my different courses, my consultation. Like, you can use it for anything.
That's really smart.
But you're not getting anything for free.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in that. But the reason why we do these giveaways, let's be honest, everyone who has a business here, is not because I actually think this person's going to value it. It's mostly because I'm growing my email list
to get the email list,
women who have businesses, because I like
to grab the attention,
hanging out with them.
Grab the attention, absolutely. And I mean, I had with my program, when I launched it, I gave away 1 seat in the program for free as well. And the person who won it, I have to say, she did put a lot of effort into it. So
that's huge.
It was. But I think where her motivation came from is she just really, really, really worked so hard at manifesting to win the seat, like to win that prize, that when she got it, she was like, oh my God, like, I got this opportunity, now I'm going to take it.
But I think it comes back to the 80-20 rule, as everything does. 80% of people will not value free, but there still are 20% who will be like, oh my gosh, what an opportunity. I'm going to take this and I'm going to run with it. Yeah. So, I mean, I hope one of the 20% wins.
And she had already paid me for the program, so I ended up reimbursing her because she won it. So I guess her mind was made up that she was going to do this no matter what, right? So that was probably my only time in my life, all of my business experience, where I had the economy of free actually work out.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's good to know that it does work sometimes.
Sometimes it does. Yeah, it really depends. Well, I thank you so much, Lyndsie. Like I said before, we have so many different things we can talk about because we literally get together and we solve world problems. Yeah. That's our motto.
Solved a few today. I feel like we did.
Yeah, well, we sure did.
There's going to be a few new books on the shelves coming out from this. I hope that's my goal from being here.
Yeah.
Is that a few people who are on that edge of, should I write a book? I know I can, but I don't know.
Well, and mine is, that's exactly it. Like, and this is why I think I'm so interested in this whole topic right now, is I'm doing a bunch of research on how to best go about it. Because I want to finish my book and get it out there. So, thank you for always being my tire kicker to like say, come on, let's do this. Let's get her done. And for just being such a huge motivation in my life, because you really are. It's hot in here. She's just.
My eyes get watery when it's hot.
Is there anything else that you want to share with the Freedom Seeker tribe before I let you go?
I think that's probably it. One little thing that I just want to mention is creativity. Is have that one thing that you do that, whether it's for money or not, that you love, that you can be creative in. I mean, you can really be creative in any business with your marketing and stuff, but sometimes you need to shut your brain off to business. Yeah. And you need to just go be creative and have fun. And if you can make money at it, doing hair, leather work, my boyfriend makes all sorts of stuff out of leather, that's his thing. Like, have something that you just go and do, and maybe it's sports even. You need a lot of creativity to be good at sports. And just don't be so hard on yourselves, right? And the number one thing that stops new businesses, this I haven't mentioned yet, and I really want to quickly end with this, is money. don't be an idiot with your money. Don't spend like you're making $100,000 a year if you're not. Like, live lean, shop in thrift stores, be careful with your money, look at your numbers, use mint.com. Your business is not going to make it if you don't, like if you suffocate your business with too much expense, your business can't make it. And it's never a matter of whether your business is tied to your passion or if it's needed or if it's something that would sell. It could simply be you suffocating it with too much unnecessary spending. So yeah, that's what I want to end with.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely great tip. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And next time we'll talk about LinkedIn, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Ciao, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, the best conversations happen after the episode on yvonnewinkler.com/The Freedom Seeker Show. So go there, leave a comment, and let me know what resonated most with you and why. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to our email list and become a Freedom Seeker Insider. You will get instant access to an audio I created called The 5 Steps to a Freedom Life, as well as some special content, exclusive giveaways, and some personal updates from me that I don't share anywhere else except maybe texting my BF.